Welcome to More Patients, More Impact, More Income, the podcast for real holistic medical practitioners who want to grow their high-impact, high-income practice without selling out. And now, here's your host, Chris Axelrad.
As a practitioner of what I feel is the most amazing medicine on earth, the amazing tradition of Chinese medicine and the holistic wisdom and power that's embodied in that medicine, there's something I've learned that I want to share with you. It's really, really important. I've had a decent amount of success doing this. I want to practice now where we have 3 locations. We have 3 other acupuncturists. We're changing lives every single day. We're seeing 200, 225 patients a week. It blows my mind when I think about it. But none of it would have happened if I hadn't learned this really important lesson. It had been 4 years since I finished school. And I had spent that 4 years working my software job while building my practice. And it was tough. I'm going to tell you right now that I got to a point where I was working sometimes 60, 70-hour weeks trying to keep up with both jobs. And that's when I started to realize, man, it's time for me to cut the cord on my software job and move forward into the career that I've always loved and wanted, which is to be this healer and be this light for other people through my practice. So at that time, I had 20 to 25 patients a week. And quitting my job meant taking about a 60% cut in salary. And I had a house to pay for. I had a family to take care of. I had 2 daughters. I mean, this was not something that I took lightly, and it was terrifying, but I did it. I walked away from the software job. I had saved just enough money to keep myself afloat for a few months. Things started to do pretty well. We started to roll. I was starting to feel really good about things. And then 2 things happened that changed everything. Well, first of all, one is that Hurricane Ike hit Houston, which is where I live. And that hurricane came through and created massive, massive power outages. We didn't have power at my house for 3 weeks. My patients just scattered, literally scattered to the wind. We went from really starting to get to where we were seeing 25, almost 30 patients a week, which was just enough to keep me afloat financially and be able to pay my receptionist and pay my rent, pay my mortgage and live, to having 2, 3 patients a week for over almost 2 months. We couldn't reach our patients. The ones that we could reach, their lives were turned upside down. A lot of damage to a lot of homes. Gas stations were not even able to pump gas. I mean, it was the closest I've ever been to being in a war zone. On top of that, right at that same time, the recession hit, 2008 recession in the United States. So not only did we have in Houston this insane storm that came through and just knocked everything out, but we had this recession and people were freaking out about their money. And I thought it was all going to end right there for me. I thought, well, I've worked so hard. I've spent almost the last decade of my life, including school and the years that it took for me to get here. And now it's all just going to fall apart. I'm literally going to go bankrupt. I was down to $2,000 in my bank account. I was paying my receptionist with a credit card. It was desperate. And I got so depressed and I was so just beaten down, thinking, this is it. Everyone's going to be proven right that this is not possible. All these people that doubted me, all these people that said, what are you doing? You're crazy for quitting this amazing job and going into this alternative medicine career. They're all going to be proven right. And what did I do? And I mean, it was just disaster. Well, I kept myself going and I just thought, I'm just going to keep showing up until I either run out of money or something turns around. And I remember this patient showed up and she was one of my patients that had been able to continue coming, and she was trying to get pregnant. And I think she probably noticed that I wasn't in the best place emotionally. I was holding myself together, but I was definitely on a thread, and we had a really good session actually. And after her session, when I walked in and I'm taking the needles out, I'll never forget this. She said to me, you know what? I just want to say thank you for the amazing work you're doing. It's changing my life. And you've really, really helped me. And I can't thank you enough. And I think she knew that I needed to hear that. But where it hit me was just so deep. And it was like that moment, something flipped, a switch flipped. And I remembered why I do this work. I don't do this work for myself. I don't do this work to prove people right or prove myself right or prove other people wrong. I don't do this work to make money even. I do this work because I love to help people with this amazing medicine. And it was like a light bulb went on, a fire was lit. And from that moment, I was like, you know what? I don't care what it takes. I'm moving forward. I'm done with the disappointment. I'm done with the frustration. I'm done with the self-pity. And I am going to make this work because I love that feeling of knowing that I've helped someone grow, that I've helped someone change their life. It just lit me up. Next thing I knew, okay, I had a goal. I said, you know what? In the next 40 days, I'm going to get to 40 patients a week. And guess what happened? In 37 days later, I had 40 patients that week. Now, was it all just like automatic? No, I had to do work, and I woke up every single day, and I had all this free time, so I didn't have patients, and I just worked as hard as I could doing the things that I knew how to do to get people back into the office, to get our patients back into the office, to get new patients in the office, to go out and get referrals, sending emails out to people, anything I could do. And I'm going to tell you something right now. Since then, of course, I've had disappointments, Since then, of course, I've had times when I've wanted to give up again. There have been low times again. Since then, it hasn't been just this perfect world. But you know what? That lesson that I learned about not focusing on and becoming consumed by the disappointment and remembering that I'm the light. A lighthouse. Think of a lighthouse. What does a lighthouse do? It sits on that bedrock. And it shines its light out into the dark sea. No matter whether there's a storm, whether there's wind, rain, whether there's clouds and fog, whether it's a perfectly clear night, that lighthouse keeps shining. It's grounded, it's in place, it's immovable, and it never stops shining its light. And that is what we need to learn how to do. That is what I have learned how to do, and that is what I love to help other practitioners and healers learn how to do. And it's not that hard, and it's actually it is the way, not only to build your practice, but to live your life, especially if you're a healer, especially if you're somebody who wants to be a leader and a guide and somebody who truly shines as a light in your community. It is the only way, is to learn how to be the lighthouse. So I hope this helped you, and hope it inspired you. Go out there, be the light. Stop focusing on disappointments. Stop focusing on the failures, because I guarantee you, you've had thousands of disappointments before, and especially if you own your own clinic, and especially if you own a business. And your clinic is a business, by the way. There's thousands more coming. Nothing can change that. So what you have to do is learn how to be the light and shine the light and stop chasing it.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.